guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we'll be talking about a Hightop. It's been about a month and a half or so since we got the Hightop, and I thought it would be a great idea to talk a little bit more about it. What we think about it, do we regret getting it, what do we think about after leaving in the van with the Hightop. I know I made a video before kind of talking about the experience of getting a Hightop, and now I think it's time to talk a little bit more about it and tell you the real truth of getting a Hightop, all the pros and cons that come with it, and so on. But before we start this video, I want to do a huge shout out to all of my Patreons. Thank you so much for supporting me and loving me and keeping this channel going. I really appreciate you guys, so thank you. And a special shout out to my newest Patreon, Jessie. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And another thing before we start this video is, if you haven't become a part of Evie family yet, what are you doing, guys? Click the subscribe button down below, and definitely don't forget to click that bell notification thingy down there to get notified every time I upload new videos. I have a bunch of awesome videos coming up, such as why we have separate channels and why don't we have a joint channel, since both Jed and I live together in the same van and we travel together. And I have another video coming up where I'll be talking about some tips on van life and lessons I've learned so far since living in the van and traveling. So definitely click the subscribe button, click notification bell down below to get notified, and yeah, let's just get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the costs and all the negative things that come with getting a Hightop. So when you get a Hightop that is custom made by a company, like a brand new Hightop, it is expensive. We paid just under $4,000 for ours, and the reason why ours was so expensive is because, number one, we have an extended van. It's a lot longer than a normal van, so there's more fiberglass involved in it. We also got wood reinforcements on the top, so we have a 1/2 inch thick plywood all the way on top of the Hightop, and we have 2x4s that go along on the sides. And the reason why we decided to get that is, number one, because we have 2 roof fans, so we wanted to make sure that the fiberglass is not going to cave in with time and start cracking. And number two is because we do want to mount certain things on the sides and on top, and getting the wood reinforcements, just kind of making sure that the Hightop is strong enough to hold the weight that we want to put on it, and it's not going to start cracking and caving in with time. So we got that, and it cost a pretty penny for that, but now we have a peace of mind that our Hightop will be strong enough. With the wood reinforcements on top, we can put up to about 300 to 350 pounds of weight on top of our roof, and it's amazing, which means we can put a rack on top, we can put water storage on top, we can put, I don't know, a paddle board on top, which I do want to get, and so on. So that's a peace of mind. And then we had them install it for us, because we originally thought that we can install it ourselves, and we probably could with enough, learning and reading articles and watching videos. But we decided to have it installed by Fiberine, so we have a peace of mind that it's not going to leak, it's installed properly, and that costs like $800 to install it. They have to cut the roof off and seal it and whatnot. So yes, it is very expensive. So the cost part of it is kind of a con. It is very expensive. You could find a used Hightop at the junkyard somewhere, but then you have to cut it off yourself and install it yourself and buy all the materials, and it's very heavy. So it's possible to get it cheaper, especially if you're not going to get wood reinforcements in it, but it's still, even without the wood reinforcements and installation, the Hightop itself is about $2,000 if you buy it brand new. So yeah, it's very expensive. Another con is we cannot fit in the parking garages anymore. So any parking garage, at least 99% of them, we cannot fit our van into it. Not only because we have the Hightop, but because we have 2 roof fans on top as well that add another couple of inches to our height. So getting in the parking garages is also very challenging now, and probably some bridges that are super low, we're probably not going to fit into them. We haven't run into that problem yet, but I definitely see ourselves running into the problem eventually somewhere. Another thing is we cannot go for drive-thrus anymore, which we do like once in a while, and we cannot fit into the regular car wash, the automated one, so we have to go to the self car washes and wash the van ourselves. So there are cons to that for sure. And the parking garage is probably the biggest one because we do have a dog, and when we want to park somewhere and go explore and we want to leave Lily inside because she's not allowed to go somewhere, it's tough. We have to find a shaded parking spot, we have to make sure our airflow is going, or just not go to that place where Lily is not allowed. So that's definitely a big con for us. Now we have more building stuff to do. So we did paint our Hightop on the inside to make it look better, but it's not finished. It's just not. When we were building the van, we were building it for the Hightop. So our kitchen counter is tall, our bed is tall, and it's perfect. But now everything above the old roof is not finished. We have a bunch of exposed metal we have to cover up, and yeah, it's just adding more hassle, you know, to us. We thought the van was pretty much done, and now it's about halfway done. So we have to do a lot more building now, which is could be positive and could be negative. Heating up or cooling down the van. So because we have a lot more space now on the inside, a lot more air, heating up the van is a little bit more challenging now. As you guys know, we don't have a heating system in our van. We don't have a body heater. We don't have any sort of heating devices in our van. So the only way we can heat up the van is by our body heat, and sometimes we have candles that will light up if it's super cold, or if we are staying at by our friend's house, we can run a power cord and use one of their small electric heaters. But even with that, it takes a long time, not a long time, but it's still longer to heat up the van. So the van is colder now, but it's also a positive because we have a, what's it called, fiberglass. Because we have a fiberglass on top of our van now, it stays cooler in there. So in the morning when the sun is out, the inside of the van actually stays cooler for a lot longer because fiberglass doesn't transfer heat and doesn't heat up as fast as metal. Because fiberglass is an amazing insulation on its own. A lot of houses use fiberglass to insulate the houses. So it's amazing in that regard. We don't have to cool down or try to cool down the van as hard anymore. It stays colder there for longer, which means we can sleep in for a little bit longer, or at least Jed is. I wake up super early, so it's not a problem for me ever, but for Jed, he can sleep in a nice and cool environment for a lot longer now. So I guess that's a positive, not a negative, but still. And positive things in regards to Hightop is we can finally stand up. Oh my god, you know, when you live in a house or an apartment, you take things like that for granted. Being able to sit up on the bed when I first wake up and stretch feels so good. Being able to sit on the bed instead of being all hunched over feels amazing. Being able to get out of the bed and fully stand up and wake up that way is also feels amazing. Being able to put pants on or my jackets on, whatever I am putting on while standing up feels amazing. And I always took it for granted when I lived in apartments and houses, and once I moved into the van I realized how important it is to be able to stand up. So that alone is super worth for us to get the Hightop. Another thing is we have more space. We just have more storage. We have ridiculous amount of storage above the driver cab because we left the roof there. So all the things that were loose before we got the Hightop, we constantly had to move, such as like our gym bags with our shower stuff and our gear and stuff, like my gear backpack. I was always kind of moving around everywhere. So now we have a place to store it, which is amazing. So it gives us a lot more storage as it is, and once we build the shelves that we want to put all around, it's going to give even more storage. The van on its own feels and looks more organized, which is amazing. And another thing is, because we can fully stand up in our van, it actually feels like home now. It felt like home before to me, because every time I would come back inside the van and sit in it, I'm like, oh, it feels good to be home. But now it has even, that feeling of home is like amplified, because you know, you can stand up in your home, and we can actually stand up in our home, and because we have to do a little bit more building, we can make it feel and look even more like a home to us. So that's a huge plus as well. And another plus, which I already mentioned, is the van just stays cooler for longer, which is amazing. It's when we inside the van, when it's raining for instance, it doesn't sound as loud anymore because the rain hitting the fiberglass and not the metal. So it's actually a very pleasant sound. The van itself stays a lot cooler in there because there is a lot more air to heat up, and yeah, it's just, you know, all the heat rises, so the cold air stays on the bottom. Because our roof is a lot higher, the warm air is a lot higher, so when we lay in the bed, it actually feels cooler now because our roof is not like right in front of our faces anymore. I think those are like the major positive things that I can say about having a high top. So the question is, we have all the negatives that come with that and all the positives that come with that. Do we regret getting a high top? And the answer is no. Even with all the negatives that came with that, like parking issues and warming up issues and cleaning issues, no, we don't regret it. We love it and we stand by the decision, even though it is expensive. It's so worth it because our home finally feels even more like home. If you think about it, if we didn't have a high top, because our van is so long, we constantly have to like walk hunched over, right? Over time, the back muscles are gonna suffer, and if we didn't have the high top and we live in this van for years to come, our backs might give out, so our medical bills down the road are going to be way more than $4,000. So paying $4,000 right now to get a high top and to be able to stand up and have our bodies be in a normal position is a lot. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. So no, we do not regret getting a high top, and we absolutely love it. Even 2 months after installing it, it hasn't leaked. We had no problems with it whatsoever, and we truly love it. I guess this is gonna be it for my video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope it kind of gave you a little bit more insight on getting a high top and all the negatives and positives that come with that. Definitely don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell notification, and definitely don't forget to comment. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions on getting a high top. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? If you live in the van, do you have a high top, or do you want to get a high top? Let me know down in the comments below. I definitely want to see your opinions and your thoughts on it. Anyways guys, once again, I really hope you enjoyed it, and once again, big shout out to all of my Patreons. Thank you so much. And if you're not on my Patreon and you really enjoyed these videos and you want to keep them going and you want to keep this channel going, definitely please consider pledging just $1 a month on my Patreon. Link can be found in the description below. It's only $1 a month, and it definitely helps me run this channel and produce a lot more videos almost on a daily basis. So anyways guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.